Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dari Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Sorry, my voice is still from Sunday. not on the in top form. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivraj Acharya Shtattara Shatashi Istina Enviousness Siddhanta Vedanta Swami Yatra Srila Bhagavatam Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Ko. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 13, Text 11. Kvachiccha shitata parvata varshad Kvachiccha shitata pavata varshad Pratikriyam kartumanisha aste Pratikriyam kartumanisha aste Kvachin mito vipananyachcha kinchit Kvachin mito vipananyachcha kinchit Vidvesham richatyuta vitta satyat Vidvesham richatyuta vitta satyat Kvachiccha shitata pavata varsha Pratikriyam kartumanisha aste Kvachin mito vipananyachcha kinchit Vidvesham richatyuta vitta satyat. Yes, please chant. Kvachiccha shitata pavata varsha Kriyam kartumanisha aste Kvachin mito vipananyachcha kinchit Vidvesham richatyuta vitta satyat. Kvachit. Sometimes. Cha. Also. Shita, atapa, vata, varsha. Of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, and excessive rainfall. Sounds like the weather forecast. Pratikriyam. Counteraction. Kartum. To do. Anishaha. Being unable. Aste. Remains in misery. Kvachit. Sometimes. Mittaha. One another. Vipanan. Selling. Yacha. Whatever. Kinchit. A little bit. Vidvesham. Mutual enmity. Richati. Obtain. Uta. It is so sad. Vitta. It's not sad, it's sad. Maybe I mispronounced. It is so sad. Sad. not sad, but sad. You can read it, yeah. Vitta shatyat, because of cheating one another merely for money. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sometimes the living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions, one after another. In this way, by cheating, living entities create enmity among themselves. Purport. This is an example of the struggle for existence, the attempt to counteract the onslaught of material nature. This creates enmity in society, and consequently society is filled with envious people. One person is envious of another, and this is the way of the material world. The Krishna consciousness movement aims at creating an atmosphere of non-envy. Of course, it is not possible for everyone to become Krishna conscious, but the Krishna consciousness movement can create an exemplary society wherein there is no envy. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitang Tvang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhandvitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Bancha Kalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschattade Shatarini. Hare Krishna. Sometimes the living entity is busy counteracting the natural disturbances of freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind, excessive rainfall, and so forth. When he is unable to do so, he becomes very unhappy. Sometimes he is cheated in business transactions one after another. In this way, by cheating, living entities create enmity among themselves. Yes. The struggle for existence. Do you feel any struggle for existence? No? Do you feel any struggle of existence? Depends. Right now? Now not, huh? Because we are in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means no anxiety, no struggle. So we should always remain in Vaikuntha. It's very interesting purport. Prabhupada says how, because we are struggling in this world, material nature is giving us problems. Naturally, what we try to do, we try to solve these problems. Yeah, we attempt to counteract the onslaughts of material nature. Which are the onslaughts of material nature? Yeah, that's here in this verse. Usually we have three basic material onslaughts.
Difficulties that the nature is putting on us, difficulties that other people and animals are putting on us, and difficulties that the mind is putting on us.
And now in Sanskrit? Adhyatmika. Yeah. Adhibhotika. Adhidaivika. Adhidaivika. Adhyatmika. Atma means myself. Daivika means the demigods and nature, and all this is all under the control of the devas. And Adhibhotika. Bhuta. Bhuta means a living entity who has a body. These are the three onslaughts of material nature. We either suffer from natural disturbances, like here, actually, in the verse we hear freezing cold, scorching heat, strong wind and excessive rainfall. These are all Adhidevika. And then the other one, cheating one another. What is this? Adhibhotika, no? Yeah. Other living entity giving you trouble. Have you ever been cheated? I have once been cheated, I need to tell you that, heavily in the US, like the full-on Kali Yuga cheat. My phone broke down, iPhone, and I needed to call Apple. So I Googled the number of Apple, and I called Apple. It was not Apple. Krishna. I called, and so, Apple. I thought Apple picked up the phone because it said Apple when I Googled it. And that guy, very polite, Indian-sounding guy, said, yes, of course I can help you. We can send you a new iPhone. Because my iPhone was really, I knew I need to change. And he said, we just need to, in order to send it to you, we need to you need to get the Apple gift card. You know that in the shops you can buy the Apple gift card. Because then we can initiate the shipment. So I bought, now listen to this, so I bought one, and I gave him the code, and then he said, somehow it's not working, can you buy another one? I bought another one, and I gave him again the code, $200, and then I realized at some point when I tried to call again, and I couldn't find the number anymore on Google, it was gone within a few minutes. I realized I was just completely cheated by some Indian fellow sitting in Mumbai or Delhi in an office who now got $200 in Apple gift card credit. Just came to my mind spontaneously. So cheating is going on. And Prabhupada, the interesting point here is how that tendency to counteract our problems in this world leads to enmity in society. We develop a certain enmity to other living beings. And this enmity then, Prabhupada says, consequently society is filled with envious people. Enmity makes one envious. And unfortunately, I would have liked to prepare myself much more, and I think we could have done really something nice. It didn't happen. There is a lecture, 2 lectures actually, of His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. He speaks on, the title is Deadly Disease of Envy and Its Cure. And he goes through a number of verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 3rd canto, 29th chapter, this Kapila Dev. And basically, he goes through the verses and he points out 4 stages of envy. Have you heard of the 4 stages of envy? Would you like to hear? Maharaj is very psychological. He has this tendency to give us an insight into the human psyche by using scripture, which is really nice. So maybe I just read, let's see how we're going to go about it. I tried to use AI to help me to transcribe his lecture and summarize, and it did something, but let's see. So the first verse here, it reads, that's the verse. I am present in every living entity as the super soul. If someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. How could the super soul be neglected? Any ideas?
If you're treating others bad.
Yeah. Why? Because the super soul is present in another person's body. So if you treat that person bad, you're neglecting the super soul. And so what does it say here? It says, if you worship the deity and you do that, it's an imitation. Imitation.
Yeah.
Meaning, you're just externally doing something, but actually it doesn't have any meaning. And now Maharaj, what he's doing, he's taking out these Sanskrit words which indicate a certain kind of envy. And this, in this verse, the first word he's using is avagyaya, which Prabhupada himself, he translates as disregarding. Disregarding. One example comes to my mind. Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu once told that the Fuji. But there is another one how, like one example could be, because this example is, I'm doing the arati and yeah, that's an example. Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu told me that example once. He wanted to go to a temple, and the temple was a smaller temple, and it was locked from outside. And they went for Mangala Arati, like 1, 2, 3 devotees, and somehow they kept the door locked. And while the Pujari was doing the Arati, they knocked the door. They wanted to attend the arati, and the pujari thought, I'm doing the arati, why they are disturbing me, and finished the arati, and then after the arati went to open the door. Which it doesn't really, it's actually proper especially if you understand, oh, I forgot to open the door for some guests to come and see the Lord. And even though it's your mistake that now you have to, make a pause to the arati, still, you should go and open the door. These are devotees who came to see the Lord. So that's maybe one example how you disregard. And then what is it? It's an imitation. You know that someone who wants to see the Lord is in their hearts, they are devotees, but you disregard them. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. So this is the first stage of envy, which Maharaj points out, avagya, a subtle sense of superiority or disregard towards others. Unfortunately, I couldn't find all the words in the verses, so I need to just go through the stages. And maybe I'll send you the link, and if you like, you can listen to the seminar later on and get more of an insight. Maybe before I go to the next one, so he points out that the root cause of imperfect devotional service is envy. That this is really, and we can see in Bhagavad Gita how often Krishna speaks about this equilibrium towards other living entities. How he likes a person who is equal to others, who is not in this duality, and envy is one of the main manifestations of envy. We have lust and greed, which shows the positive aspect of duality. You want something, and then envy is one of the main negative ones, that you don't like someone. Then the next stage is called upeksha. Any idea what upeksha could be? I'll try to find a little bit what Marsh said. Sorry, I'm not really well prepared. This will not work like this. Upeksha is meaning to actively avoid or neglecting someone, especially devotees, of course. Do you know this experience? You avoid someone actively? Yamuna is also smiling.
I know one term is called to keep respectful distance. Once I heard from one Mataji, and I was shocked that devotees have such term, this phrase. She said, gentle ignoring. I was shocked how you can gently ignore someone. Ignoring, it's already not good.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I guess a respectful distance. I said disrespectful distance. That would be not good, but a respectful distance. Yeah, like we know, even in Bhagavatam, we see how it's advised how to deal with different people, and those who are envious, like a snake, you don't go close to a snake, you keep distance, a healthy distance, a respectful distance. Yeah. And so that's there, but here it speaks about something else. you actively avoiding or neglecting others. We know that. We all know that. You just don't like that person, and you don't want to see that person, you don't want to speak to that person, you don't want to hear that person, and you avoid them. So that is a form of envy. Duality. It's a duality, you don't want. You're not equipoised. It's everyone, Krishna is in the heart. Even though there might be some challenges, it's okay. No, you try to avoid. So that's in these stages that it gets more severe, the envy. Maybe we can read a little bit of the verses still, and maybe we can find the exact words. So then the next verse, Kapila Devi is saying, one who worships, this is a nice one, one who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples, but does not know that the Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is situated in every living entity's heart, must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into ashes. Again, it's just an external thing. It's not having any meaning. If you put the oblations into the ashes, it's not a yagya. It's useless. Then the next one who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. And here we hear that word, which is the next stage, dvisha. So that very much connected to this word, dvesha. Icha dvesha samuttena. Icha dvesha samuttena. Dvandva mohena bharata. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Icha dvesha samuttena. Dvandva mohena bharata. That the illusory potency of the Lord is manifested in our duality of desiring and love and hate. Yeah, if you love something or hate something in this material sphere, then you are in this dvandva mohena. It's the mohena of dvandva. It illusions you, this kind of duality. So dvishataha means now it's one form of envy. And Maharaj, he says, what means this dvesha? It means developing active hatred and wishing ill upon others. So it's a little bit a more severe stage. So the first one, it's some minor neglect. You are not really taking someone very seriously, and we have a lot of experience about this. And did you ever notice when you are with a very advanced devotee, how he has this ability to take everyone very seriously? He's not, that's something I noticed, that they will not make this distinction like we do. They have a very equal vision. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu matbhaktim labhate param. Sama sarveshu, all the living entities, they're same. They are not in this duality. So the first one is this kind, and the second one was we start to feel some avoidance, neglect, and now it's actually developing active hatred. It's like you actively cultivate internally some hatred towards a person, like, who is this person, why is he or she staying in the temple? It's just, he's not a devotee. He's just a rascal. I wish something happens to him so he moves out of the temple, or I wish she gets thrown out of the temple, these kind of things. Wishing ill. Somebody gets sick or something bad happens to them and we feel pleasure. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he in his Sharanagati prayers, humility, he admits to give us an example how we should admit that his greatest unhappiness is if somebody else is unhappy, if somebody else is happy. If I see somebody else happy, that gives me so much unhappiness. And if somebody's unhappy, I get so much happiness. So this is some kind of serious dvesha. So the next stage, I read again some verses of Kapila Dev. Then, my dear mother, he speaks to his mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple. My dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple. You could think, but how is it possible to always be conscious of the presence of Krishna in every living entity? We think like that because we are in illusion. But one who is Krishna conscious, it will that's a revelation you get. You don't have to, concentrate like, okay, let me now see Krishna in everyone's heart. No, it's just the consciousness will give you that access that you can see. And sometimes we might have this experience in our life when we're on book distribution, and we get some special empowerment. All of a sudden we see everyone is connected to Krishna. And even if somebody throws foul words at us, we see this is just Krishna manifesting his ugly features to me. Then the next verse, performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well. That's interesting. So first he's saying this is all useless if you worship the deity like that. And now he's saying you should continue worshipping until you actually come to the point where you have the right consciousness. Same with the holy name.
We can read the Bharatas, Vaishnava Bharatas also, but just continue.
Yes. Next verse, as the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to As the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. We're still waiting. We will come to the last one soon. I don't know where it comes. So the last one, the most severe stage of envy, according to Maharaj's lecture, Ninda. Jai Shishi Gornitai Ki Jai. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. Ninda. We heard this word. Guru Ninda, Vaishnava Ninda. It's the mad elephant offense is called also the Vaishnava Ninda. Guru Vaishnava Ninda is the mad elephant offense. So it means to openly blaspheme and insult other devotees. Any example comes to your mind?
Krishna, of course,
Yes.
he wasn't
Shishupal, yeah. So what did he do?
He was like calling Krishna bad names
In front of everyone.
everyone.
Like all the great personalities were assembled, and he just, we can read in Bhagavatam, he said so many nasty things to Krishna. So that's ninda. It's a severe type of envy. You just want to hurt another person. Yamuna, you can think of an example of ninda from scriptures. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Yeah. Nice. And what was the result?
He was just actually he like Srila Acharya Bhakti more famous because of his purity. He didn't defend himself. He said, yeah.
And to the one who blasphemed, there was one in particular was, you remember, he got leprosy. I think he got leprosy, and then he went to Mahaprabhu and so. I think his nose fell off.
Something.
Yeah. And he was. That's how when leprosy would come in a person, they would be ostracized. I mean, they had to leave the community and stay out.
Because they are contagious.
Yeah, nobody wants to stay with someone who has leprosy. You wanted to say something?
One more example, Lord Chaitanya, and there was one person who was very envious of him, and he was like accusing him of eating too much.
Yeah.
His name was like started from the letter R.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Yeah, I remember him.
Of eating too much.
Yeah.
You are not a sannyasi. You are not a bona fide sannyasi.
Yes.
Too much. He was very envious.
Yes.
Yeah, that's story also.
Yeah, that's true. No.
I remember. Yeah.
The ants who said,
"There's
ants here.
Going to Lord Chaitanya's house.
You must have had a feast." Something.
Yes,
Yeah.
you keep so much.
Very envious. Very envious. So these are these 4 stages, and so we will just read a little bit more how Kapila Dev is giving the cure for that envy. Like we already heard one part. We have to worship the deity. We have to worship Krishna. That's the point. That will purify us. Krishna Surya Sama, Maya Andhakara. When we get close to Krishna, he's like the sun, and then everything will become clear. So that's the main thing we need to worship Krishna, and then this darkness in our heart, envy, it will go away. But Maharaj's point is that we should understand how envy manifests. And he is also making the point that envy, it can grow from one to another stage, like to a person. Initially it manifests as disregard, then it comes as avoidance, then it comes as hatred, and then it becomes as blasphemy. And he's saying that the second 2 are unacceptable by Krishna. That we hate someone, we wish ill to someone. So mentally, that means we have mentally we start to. We are mentally violent against a person. And the 4th one is we verbally or physically become violent. And Krishna doesn't accept. He doesn't like. The other 2, he says, are more, these stages are more,
Mild.
We can mild, yeah. They're not good, they're bad, but we can deal with those. So we should make sure we don't move to that stage.
Yeah, because if we don't do anything about
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
don't deal with the first two, then
Yes.
we will move.
Yes.
We'll go to
Yeah.
second two.
So how can we counteract envy? Let's say I'm giving you a scenario now. You live in the ashram. Should we say Prabhu or Mataji ashram? What do you prefer?
Any, it doesn't matter. Let's say Mataji, because Mataji is much more envious.
Okay, let's take the Mataji ashram. Let's say I'm a Mataji living in the Mataji ashram, and there's another Mataji, and it turns out I'm a little bit proud, and then that I'm proud, we're all proud, so I'm proud. And then, but at some point, I just realize I don't like that person, and I start to avoid, neglect. And I notice, maybe we should even ask the question, how can we make sure we actually notice that?
Within us.
Yeah, how can we understand? Like the first one is a little bit difficult because basically we're doing it all the time. Even now I'm speaking, I'm not in the perfect consciousness that Krishna is with you. So I'm definitely showing some superiority in some way. We always do that. And I show some disregard. So it's a little bit, that is so subtle that we really just need to chant and pray and worship, and by changing our consciousness. But then when the upeksha comes, in our mind is a little bit a fertile ground for weeds. And let's say how do we notice? Yes?
I think if we're not happy about seeing someone, because this is an offense also, and this is the first stage that we are not happy of seeing.
Yes, it's an offense, yeah. Right. We hear that, not see. Okay, so yeah.
You can still explain.
But some they don't notice, right?
Yes, some don't notice. They just keep.
Maybe you're not really conscious that. Okay, the first point is to understand that there is these kind of stages. Now we heard about it, and yeah, if we, I guess introspection. We need to be introspective, like analyze ourselves. Okay. What I can think of is we could, like, at the end of the day just look back. Okay, how did I interact with the people around me? What kind of emotions? What kind of emotions did I feel today in relation to other people? And then we might remember, oh yes, my favorite devotee came and we had a nice... And then you might, there was this moment when I was standing in the temple room and that Mataji came inside, and my stomach, shrunk, and I could feel my heart. Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, that's already a little bit more advanced stage maybe, but yeah, so, and if we notice that, and then what can we do to counteract? Yes?
First, of course, we can pray to Krishna. Krishna, please remove this envy from my heart. I don't like
yes,
it.
nice.
I don't like it. Krishna,
pray.
please remove it.
Maybe we should take the microphone because people might want to hear your inputs. Uh-oh.
The battery?
Battery is dead.
Okay. Let's put louder. And also one more thing, we have to glorify that person. We have to really put an effort to find good qualities of that person, glorify. Yeah.
So how you do that mentally? So in case you didn't hear, we can pray to Krishna and we can try to find the good qualities in that person and glorify. So how we glorify? In ourselves, or we do it, we actually glorify that person directly, or we glorify the person to others? What would you say?
It has to be, of course, this glorification has to be sincere, and sometimes if you glorify like this directly, it might be not sincere. So in the beginning, maybe just within yourself, at least with Krishna, and tell to Krishna, he is such a nice devotee, she is such a nice devotee. I'm just envious. I'm just envious of him.
That reminds me when you say it has to be sincere. I I noticed like we have this Christmas gathering and we glorify, and sometimes it happens that due to envy in our heart, we're supposed to glorify, but it comes across not as a glorification, but it hurts the person because we have this envy inside.
It's called backshifted compliment.
Hmm?
Backshifted compliment. It seems like it's a compliment.
Backshifted.
Backshifted.
A backshifted compliment.
Yeah, it's called. It seems external like it's a compliment.
Yeah.
But actually, you are.
Yeah, this happens because it's really the word is just a vehicle to transport some emotions. So you can even say what is what we would say compliment, but it just you're just sending out the negative emotions. Okay, so I like that. We can pray, we can glorify that person. Yes, we can serve. This is very powerful. We can serve these devotees. It's probably the most difficult one. Words, it's easy to say something. It's easy to go in front of the Lord and, not easy, but prayer. But to serve someone, you actually have this feeling. Usually you need to überwinden, overcome. And it's powerful. I think even there is a mention how we counteract different enemies like lust, anger, greed. And I think for envy it's serving them, serving other people who we feel envious to. So examples could be, let's say we're in a temple, when we see that the laundry is dry, we can fold it up, give it to them, or we can give them save some prasadam and give it to them. When we are in the program, is also always a nice opportunity to, like, let's say I feel some envy towards someone, and then I don't want to see that person, I don't want to hear that person, but then I can notice and I go and, would you like to sing? Would you like to do the arati? No, we counteract. Yeah. Actually, I don't want, but and then you can often feel that immediately it uplifts you and the other person, and because usually they can also feel, and maybe they have a similar emotion. So in this way, it can just open up a bit, and so that's a nice thing. We basically have it in our own hands. Envy is not just an enemy we don't know how to deal with, but if we start to deal with it in that stage, we can counteract if we are strong enough. So I just read a few verses more and then we end. Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me who abide in all creatures as their very self. What we just spoke. Charitable gifts, attention, and friendly behavior. That's how you can, that's what will please him. And with this verse we can end. Hare Krishna. Have a envy-free day.
Thank you.
And those who like to go can go, and maybe somebody would say something or ask something. Yamuna?
Sometimes these symptoms of envy can come up if you get hurt by someone. How do we differentiate if it's just like she said, like respectful distance that is getting worse, or if it's really envy?
That's a good question, yeah. The question is, how can we differentiate between what might be explained in the Bhagavatam, how we should take distance from envious people who hurt us, because we are not Haridas Thakur, and that we actually take distance because we are envious, we have a negative emotion. How can we differentiate between the two? One thing that comes to my mind is that, interestingly, like envy, often I was once sharing with Devaki Mataji about how Prabhupada uses the word envy. Initially was a little bit confusing to me. I often felt envy.
Yeah.
Do you have the same experience?
Sometimes English words in different meanings. Not
Yeah.
just envy, many other words.
Other words
different ways. Yeah.
and so I was felt envy, like, how come he's speaking about envy? And so anyway, let's see, my thoughts are a little bit confused. The way we see envy in this world is like, you see another person, like someone drives by with a Ferrari, and why this person, I don't have this kind of envy. Maybe jealousy. Envy, that we heard, jealousy and envy, the difference is jealousy, you're more like, I also want that, and envy means I don't want that person to have that. It's a destructive, completely destructive emotion. And it also comes from being hurt, interestingly, because you have a desire, and the other person basically shows you that you have a lack on your side, be it some possession, cross, or qualities. Somebody's beautiful, I am not. I want to be beautiful, so it hurts me. Seeing that person hurts me, and I get envious. So in that way, it's all coming from a point of being hurt. That's something that comes to my mind. And it's maybe interesting to think about that the root cause is, the problem is, why do I get hurt? Because I identify with my body, I have desires, and that leads to desires, and that's why I become, how you say that, you become, then it actually can happen that you become, if you're not identified with your body, you won't be able to have any lust, and nobody can really hurt you then, except if it's about your relationship with the Lord. And it's maybe a little bit simplistic how I say it, but that's the dynamics. And that's something we should reflect about, and that's the solution. We have to really diminish our bodily platform and establish ourselves as a servant of Krishna, spirit, soul, and in this way, all the bodily things going on will not be important. The duality goes away, that's the point. Mataji, please, you say.
I wanted to share one story. So also, when someone hurts us, it means he is superior. Now he is superior, because if somebody punched you and you couldn't do anything, it means he is superior, he showed his superiority. And then you don't like that someone is superior to you, you want to become also superior, and then envy. It just turns on this. And recently I just had an experience, purification. One Mataji also, she was quite rude for me unexpectedly, and then of course after that experience it was hard for me to be as close as it used to be. And then I just thought to myself, am I behaving that? Am I taking that now passive aggressive behavior or not? And I was trying to figure out. And then I found on the internet this description of a passive aggressive behavior, this checklist. I have this checklist. I just went through the whole checklist, and I said, no, it's not passive aggressive. But And it's normal when you feel hurt, if you don't have negative feelings inside, you want to put that person down. You're still happy for that person's success, and you behave normally. But if you don't feel like getting closer again, it's normal. It's not. It doesn't mean that it's passive aggressive. You still. It means you just keep a respectful distance. This is how we can distinguish between respectful distance and passive aggressive behavior, which is like coming from envy. You just don't show this openly, but it's obvious. Yeah. So it was very interesting. I just went through the whole checklist. I can send it in our chat if you like.
Yeah, please, yeah.
Also, we can check ourselves all the time.
We need to. Yeah, thank you. That gave me also a little bit time to collect my thoughts, and maybe with this we can end. To again about this question, how can we differentiate if we are taking distance from someone in a healthy way or in an unhealthy way? It reminded me of an experience I had where some feelings came up towards a devotee, and so two things which I found very powerful. One was praying to Krishna for the welfare of that person, not praying to him that I don't have these negative feelings, but praying to the Krishna, please. Yeah, I want them to be happy. I want them to be good devotees, and that their desires become fulfilled. And I had few experiences where I felt like in a second it can come, like these clouds which are inside, they can be removed. And another thing is thinking in my mind about that person and reflecting, is there something, like you get a feeling about a person and how a person might have desires and ambitions, and that then envy can come in. But then to think, actually, can I develop an attitude within myself that even if that person advances further than me, becomes more advanced than me, is superior than me, that I can maintain a favorable attitude, that I'm actually positive towards that person? Or do I have this feeling of, I want to actually hold that person down? I want to, what you said, I want to maintain my superiority. And that can be very subtle. These two things I noticed when I did it, helped me to at least understand if I'm actually envious or not. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you. Nice topics, no? Counteract, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj ki jai. Nitya Gaura Premanande.
Is today his
No, it's actually in August.
In August,
yeah. Yeah, just from his lecture.
Okay.
But today I just checked something, and I saw his Vyasa Puja is in
Italy.
In Italy, yeah.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
close to us.
You going?
I'm going to Simhachalam for his seminar. I hope it
When
won't
is
be
that?
cancelled. It will be from the 9th of July till the 13th of July, 4.5 days. So we're going a little group, Matter also disciples of Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. We're going by